Everyone has their own unique views and needs when it comes to financial success. If you'd like to leave your financial woes behind and live a life of financial freedom, you've come to the right place. Welcome to the Saving with Steve show, hosted by Steve Sexton. The show will help you with the ins and outs of money. We talk about financial issues that could be costing you thousands of dollars and keeping you up at night. We talk about money, tax reduction, saving more, spending less, 401ks, risk management, retirement, and everything under the sun that relates to you having a healthier, happy relationship with money. Now, here is your host of Saving with Steve, Steve Sexton, on UK Health Radio.
Hello, welcome to the Saving with Steve show, where we talk about the ins and outs of money. Pretty much everything under the sun relates to you having a happier, healthy relationship with money. My name is Steve Sexton. I want to thank you for joining us. You know what? Last week, we had a great episode with Tom Hamill. He's the RV director for Kuhn Auto and RV Group. And you know what? August was Adventure Month. We started talking about RVs, whether to own or to rent, if you're just getting started, what to do, how they can take care of you on the road. But more importantly, especially within inflationary times, where we're seeing people that were saying, hey, look, I'm saving money taking an RV for a week as opposed to flying somewhere, getting a hotel, getting a rental car, spending all that money. And the reality is they had a better time with their family because they're better able to connect. So if you want to check out that episode, it's episode number 91. Yeah, we're almost at 100 episodes. Can you believe that? And just go to the savingwithsteve.us page, savingwithsteve.us. If you have a topic, and we've had a number of topics. The next one coming up is one of the ones our listener wanted to know about. Just go to viewers at Saving with Steve and say, I'd like to hear about this. It's viewers at savingwithsteve.us. Just let us know what you'd like to hear. If we can get it on there, we will. So let's talk about our guest today. Studies are showing costs are going up because of inflation. We're seeing market volatility, and seniors are wondering if they have enough money to last through their retirement. In fact, we were doing a sequence of returns based off withdraws, and people are saying, oh my God, if it continues down this path and we have 3 or 4 years where the market's negative, I could run out of money early. This isn't good. And you know what? We dealt with COVID. Seniors are having issues with getting long-term care because of COVID. You know what? The reality is many people might not realize that their home equity likely represents a large portion of their net worth. In fact, people over the age of 62 can collectively use their housing wealth and, try to understand how they could strategically and tax efficiently incorporate that wealth into the retirement income strategy. And that's the reason why we have our guest here. His name is Steven Sless. First of all, I want to say hi, Steve. I've been talking too long. So how you doing?
Been doing great, Steve. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm really glad to hear. You know what? But before we get into everything, I think you need to know a little bit of background on Steve. You know what? He has 20 years experience in the mortgage industry, 13 years devoted to reverse mortgages. He's one of the few mortgage professionals to have the coveted Certified Long-Term Care designation. That's a CLTC designation. Steve has become a leader in his industry by educating people through seminars, videos, coming on to the media like this. He was the 2021 named as the reverse mortgage game changer by Yahoo Finance. So he's done some pretty significant stuff. He's helped out a lot of people, and we're just grateful Steve's here.
Thank you so much for having me back. I'm excited.
Well, let's just start talking. You deal with seniors all over the country, and they're very, very concerned. Let's start talking about some of the concerns that you're hearing.
It's all about inflation, the rising cost of consumer goods, and of course, rising gas prices. So for many folks, leaning, towards retiring, looking into retiring, or even those currently retired, look, the risks and the stakes are extremely high, Steve, right? What rising inflation means to somebody's retirement portfolio, particularly those on a fixed income, is they're in danger of now outliving their money or having to draw more out of their financial plan than the financial plan may have been structured to allow. Yet there is an unprecedented $11.2 trillion, Steve, trillion with a T, $trillion in untapped housing wealth, home equity, that folks the age of 62 plus are sitting on. And so that home equity should and oftentimes is very appropriate to be incorporated into the overall comprehensive retirement plan to prevent folks from hopefully outliving their money.
No, that's wonderful. And one of the things I want to add is I know they say we're at 9% unemployment, but when you look at gas prices, they're still, 40% more than where they were, this time last year or before that. And you see costs of meat, fish, the whole shot, it's a lot more than 9%. So, people are really feeling the punch, especially when, you're retired, you're not really working. So you're spending things mostly on items that have appreciated significantly because of inflation. And you know what? Will it stop where it is right there? Even if they do, people's, fixed income is still at a lower level. So, but let's just start walking into this a little bit. How can somebody go about accessing the wealth of their house and use it for income, whether it to be creating income for their personal expenses or in cases of emergency? How can they go about doing that?
Yeah, there's really 4 ways to go about accessing the wealth that you've created in your home. Number 1 is what everybody's familiar with, and that's a traditional cash out refinance. However, for folks on a fixed income, right, taking out a traditional cash out refinance, well, that also means a traditional monthly mortgage payment. So it may not be the most beneficial manner in which to go about accessing your equity, particularly if you're on a fixed income and you can't add that additional payment to your monthly budget. So then we look at option number 2, a HELOC, a home equity line of credit. Most folks are familiar with those, right? You can walk into your local bank and get one relatively easily these days. The problem with the HELOC, Steve, think back to 2008, 2009, the last economic downturn. Folks that had HELOCs and relied on those HELOCs for income, well, they saw those HELOCs suspended, reduced, or frozen really at the discretion of the bank. And the bank can do that at any time on one of those loans.
Yeah.
Option number 3, sell your home. But most folks, we find, want to age comfortably in the home that they love. Mm-hmm. So then we come to option 4, which is leveraging the housing wealth, that home equity, with a reverse mortgage. A reverse mortgage will allow you to borrow the funds in the home, borrow the equity. Okay. But reverse mortgages have flexible repayment options. So there is no mandatory monthly mortgage payment. Folks can choose to make a payment of any denomination anytime they want to, or like most folks that have a reverse mortgage, Steve, they can defer payback until they leave the home. So they can access wealth from their home, defer the payback. The loan gets paid back, the money that they borrowed plus interest when they leave the home, but they don't have that mandatory obligation of a monthly mortgage payment. So from a cash flow perspective, Steve, it's a really great way, a very savvy way to leverage their housing wealth.
So I'm going to ask you one of the first questions that we got from our viewers blog, not right now, but before, when people knew we were going to have you back on. Can somebody buy a house with a reverse mortgage?
You can. It's the Gosh, we call it it's the thing about our industry that most people don't know, but it's a potential giant, right? I mean, the reverse mortgage for purchase is an amazing way to buy a home and never have to make a monthly mortgage payment, right? So you buy a home, let's say you're going to buy a $400,000 home. You have to put down roughly 50%, Steve. So you've put down about $200,000 in cash. You're buying a $400,000 home. Your responsibilities moving forward are the property, insurance, the taxes, and just the maintenance and upkeep of the home because you own the home. But you can purchase a home using half of what you would ordinarily pay if you were going to just pay cash for that home and never have to make a monthly mortgage payment.
Now, how much can somebody get a reverse mortgage for?
So it's about that same 50%, right? General rule of thumb is about 50%.
Okay. Up to is there a limit on reverse mortgages?
The older you are, the more equity you have accessible to you. So the very top is going to be about 55 to 58%.
Okay. So no, what I meant is if somebody, they want to buy $1.5 million home and they need a $700,000 reverse mortgage. Is that possible?
So if they're going to buy $1.5 million home, Steve, we now have jumbo reverse mortgage products, and you can use those to purchase a home as well. So we actually can lend on homes valued all the way up to $4 million. Or actually, loan amounts up to $4 million on homes valued up to $10 million.
Oh, wow.
So these are no longer the loans of last resort that you heard about, 15, 20 years ago. You have a lot of very high net worth savvy individuals that are using reverse mortgages, either the jumbo non-government reverse mortgages or the FHA HECM home equity conversion mortgage. And you can use both to purchase a home as well.
Oh, wow. And I actually knew that. And I wanted to ask that question because there's some misinformation out there. One of the things I do want to point out is, we just had somebody that actually bought a house and used a $600,000 reverse mortgage. And if you think about it, their $600,000 reverse mortgage would cost them, somewhere range around $3,500 a month. So it's $3,500 a month that they no longer have to take out of their budget, which allows them to have that's almost $40,000 a year. It's more than $40,000 a year to provide, hey, this is my retirement. This is my great travel budget, the whole shot. So, they're looking at it from that perspective.
And also looking at it in the perspective of, look, if you're going to purchase a $600,000 home, right, you can do so with a normal mortgage. But again, you have that $3,000 or $3,500 mortgage payment. But let's say you're a prospective cash buyer, right? You have the means to pay $600,000 in cash. Likely that's going to come from your retirement portfolio. But Steve, you know as well as anybody, right? When you're in a market of high inflation, rising cost of consumer goods, $6 a gallon gas in some places, right? And a portfolio that may not be performing like it was over the past few years, right? A lot of people looked at their retirement portfolios in recent years and they felt pretty good. And now those same folks are looking at those portfolios and they're like, not doing as well as we have been doing.
Not a happy time.
Does it make sense to pull $600,000 from the investment portfolio and apply all of that towards purchasing the home? Or would it be more advantageous to use only half of that and leave the other half to continue to be invested and in the markets and growing for you over time?
And to recover. So, you know what? That's a wonderful point, Steven. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be right back. Stick with us. We'll be back with more Steven Sless and Saving with Steve.
More expert advice for having a happier relationship with money still to come on the Saving with Steve show on UK Health Radio.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good. UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
Welcome back to the show that is here to help you achieve your financial goals. It's the Saving with Steve show. Now here's your host, Steve Sexton on UK Health Radio.
Hey, welcome back to the Saving with Steve show, where we talk about the ins and outs of money. We've got a special guest here today, Steven Sless. He is a reverse mortgage guru here. He's been educating our listeners, a couple times over the last few years. And every single time he has some pearls of wisdom and people really just love it. He also dispels the myths, the misinformations. So let's talk a little bit about some of those myths and misinformation. You know what? We hear about people going, oh my God, mom and dad have reverse mortgage, bank took the house. And you know what? I hear that. I actually know what's going on, so I know it's not true, or they have options. So could you walk people through that?
Absolutely. Yeah, that is a misconception, right? So let's start right there, right? With a reverse mortgage is really, Steve, it's just a mortgage. There's a lien against the home, right? No different than a traditional forward mortgage or a traditional home equity line of credit. What a reverse mortgage does, however, is it provides you with flexibility that those other mortgages do not. But folks here, there's no monthly mortgage payment required, and they immediately think it's too good to be true. And it's some sort of scheme or scam or the government's way to take your home or the bank's way to take your home. Like, I'm here to tell you, I'm in the mortgage business for 20 years. My parents have a reverse mortgage. Other family has a reverse mortgage. And in no way, shape, or form does the lender or the government take your home. You still own the home. The choice to make monthly mortgage payments is yours. If you want to, you can, right? You can make monthly mortgage payments and treat it no different than a traditional mortgage loan, or you can defer payback until you leave the home. But never does the bank take the home, so long as you pay your property taxes, you pay your homeowner's insurance, and you maintain the home. Those are the requirements of the loan. If you don't do those, if you don't pay your taxes and you have a traditional mortgage, Steve, you're going to get foreclosed on by the municipality that you live in. Mm-hmm. If you fail to make your insurance payment, there's a chance that you could be foreclosed on. Those risks are no different on a traditional loan than they are on a reverse loan.
Yeah, you know what? Now, let's go back and reiterate one thing. So, for example, we have somebody who, let's say they just got a reverse mortgage last year. Obviously, housing prices are way up here. Let's say they have $1 million home, $600,000 reverse mortgage, and housing prices go by the way of 2008. And we see that house value drop down to, say, $500,000. They get a $600,000 reverse mortgage. and they pass. You know what? How does that affect the heirs? And, what would the heirs' options be?
So reverse mortgages are non-recourse loans, Steve. And that means that neither you, your estate, or your heirs are personally liable to pay back the reverse mortgage debt, right? So think of reverse mortgages having gap insurance. You go to the dealership, you purchase a new car, you buy gap insurance, and that's going to protect you in the event that you owe $30,000 on your car, you total your car, the insurance company cuts you a check for $20,000, right? That gap is covered by the insurance. Reverse mortgages function in the same manner, right? So if you owe more than the value of the home, you can simply leave the keys on the kitchen table and walk away. Your heirs can leave the keys on the kitchen table and walk away. However, like any other mortgage, right? Because again, these are just mortgages. Like any other mortgage, if you owe $100,000 and the home is worth $200,000, that is yours or your heirs to keep, right? So any built up equity is going to be yours. Now, a lot of folks are experiencing a real rise in their housing wealth levels. They've seen their housing wealth grow tremendously in recent years, and they're actually able to refinance their reverse mortgage. They're in a very similar fashion to refinancing their traditional mortgage to, one, lower the rate in a good interest rate in a lower interest rate environment. We don't see that right now because rates are a little bit higher than they have been, but you can actually borrow on today's value. And you can also lock in today's value, Steve, right? So if you take a reverse mortgage out today and your home is worth $500,000, you're borrowing on the value of $500,000. If next year the home is worth $450,000, guess what? You borrowed on $500,000 last year. Your loan is federally insured and guaranteed, and you're borrowing at the top of the market at that point, and you're hedging against the future market correction.
So let's talk about that a little bit more. When it comes to, my understanding is you can get a lump sum out, you can have a mortgage, and you can create an income. So for example, we have, hey, I got it up here at 500,000. Now it's down here at 400,000. How does it affect those three things?
Right. So with a reverse mortgage, there's a few payout options, right? Payout option number one is a 10-year payment where you get a check sent to you every month by the reverse mortgage lender, and you get that check forever, right? For the rest of your life. Two is a term payment. We see terms used a lot when clients come to us and they're trying to delay their Social Security. They're trying to get to the point where they're over 70 years old, so they qualify for a larger check. And they say, hey, Steve, gosh, we would really like to delay Social Security, but we don't have the means to do so. We want to turn on a term payment, and we only want to receive funds from our reverse mortgage for 3 years or 4 years or 5 years, whatever that time frame may be. You can also put your money into a line of credit, and the line of credit on a reverse mortgage is vastly different than a traditional HELOC or a home equity line of credit in that one, reverse mortgage line of credit, Steve, are federally insured. Mm-hmm. They can never be suspended, reduced, or frozen, regardless of the market, regardless of what the housing appreciation, depreciation does not matter. The line of credit also comes, Steve, with a guaranteed rate of growth. Think of it like your credit card balance or your credit card limit, I should say, is being increased every year, allowing you more borrowing power over time. It's a very, very powerful tool.
Wow.
You can take a lump sum. Yeah. And a lot of folks, right? A lot of folks, even those, even financial professionals and those really in the know, there's a lot of nuances and intricacies about reverse mortgage, and you got to reach out and talk to a professional, whether it's me or somebody else.
That's why we're talking to you.
I appreciate that. And I encourage the viewing audience, right? Become educated, become empowered. There's a lot to learn about reverse mortgages, not just what you see from Tom Selleck on TV. Steve, you can also, back to payout options, right? You can also combine payout options. So you can turn on a line of credit. You can draw out some cash up front. You can turn on a 10-year or a term payment all simultaneously and create multiple different revenue streams as you age in the comfort of your own home.
That's wonderful. I'm actually really glad you said that, because you know what? There's some of those things there, I've been helping people or referring people to reverse mortgage specialists for more than a decade. When it's necessary or needed. And, I don't tell people I know everything, but I know some things. And the thing you just told me, I didn't know. And I was like, wow, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that your payment was, federally insured. And I didn't realize that there is a growth rate that goes along with it. So you can get a higher payment that keeps up with inflation, which is wonderful. Now, let's just ask this. How can people get a hold of you? How can they connect with you to get information, to say, hey, I want to look at reverse mortgage? Steven, how can we go about doing that?
Yeah, they can certainly give us a call, right? Our number is 410-814-7575. It's 410-814-7575. You can visit us on the web at theslessgroup.com. That's theslessgroup.com. We're also on social media at More with Sless. We have a YouTube channel with a lot of videos, a lot of information on there, podcast interviews, media appearances, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. We're trying to spread the gospel of reverse mortgages to as many people as will hear us.
So needless to say, they can go on Facebook and write in Steve Sless and they're going to find you.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Hey, Steve, thank you so much again. I always know when it's a good interview when things go like that. I appreciate you being here. Our listeners and viewers appreciate you being here because you have pearls of wisdom. And you know what? I don't learn things too often. And today I did. I was just really happy with that. So thanks again. Stay safe, stay healthy. And folks, if you're interested in a reverse mortgage or just want to get educated, you know what? Look for Steven Sless on Facebook. And what was that one place on your phone number?
Phone number is 410-814-7575.
One more time.
410-814-7575. And on the web at theslessgroup.com.
At theslessgroup.com. Look, Steve, again, thank you so much. You have a wonderful week. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you. Bye-bye.
Appreciate you, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Stick with us. We'll be back with more Saving with Steve.
More expert advice for having a happier relationship with money still to come on the Saving with Steve show on UK Health Radio. Welcome back to the show that is here to help you achieve your financial goals. It's the Saving with Steve show. Now here's your host, Steve Sexton on UK Health Radio.
Welcome back to the Saving with Steve show, where we talk about the ins and outs of money. I want to say special thanks to some of our distributors at AM FM 247, BBS Radio, UK Health Radio. We really appreciate them, helping our listeners and viewers solve problems and live a life of personal and financial freedom. If you'd like to check out more episodes, you can always go to savingwithsteve.us. If you're looking to get on the Insiders Club and look at the behind the scenes videos, guests, gifts, and more, hey, go to the Facebook at Saving with Steve Sexton. And you know what? Let's just talk right now about how to avoid the debt trap. I mean, there's a lot of things that are going on. Accumulating debt, obviously, has always been frowned upon. Nonetheless, there may be situations when one has no option to incur debt. This could include taking a home loan, educational loans, personal loans to manage unforeseen events like health emergencies and more. Whatever the situation is, it's best to avoid taking multiple lines of credit. If this happened, one must assure he or she can repay these loans on time. Not overutilizing credit limits is vital in ensuring that we don't fall into a debt trap. So what's a debt trap? Okay, so think about this. It's a situation where a borrower is forced to take on a new loan, simply repay an existing loan. In essence, a debt trap occurs when debt obligations surpass one's loan repayment ability, okay? Loans are repaid in two components like principal and interest over a fixed determined period of time. The debt trap may not necessarily occur only because of expensive or high ticket loan. If borrower's income is adequate, a big loan can be repaid without hassle. No big deal. Okay. Therefore, a loan amount cannot necessarily equate a big debt trap. Now, however, if the equal monthly installments are not paid on time, the interest on the amount will keep increasing and may include late payments and penalties. This inflates one's overall debt. It could create a default, like with bad debt where they have to write off the debt. Okay. You know what? This scenario happens all the time where a borrower may eventually take up a fresh loan to repay a previous one. A small loan may also push the borrower into a debt trap if she can't repay it on time and the interest component. So it's important to stay away from that. Now, there's good debt and bad debt. You know what? We all have good debt. You bought that car, you're paying it off, not a problem, and you have an asset. You have a home or even a rental property where, you take on the debt, but it's a rental property where you have cash flow and you're creating good income from. So, you have good debt. Bad debt's the one where it refers to loans that cannot be recovered and has to be written off. Okay. How to avoid bad debt or getting into a debt trap. Okay. First of all, it's important to create an emergency fund. One of the best ways to avoid a debt trap is to have an emergency fund that can be equal to 6 months of salary set aside for emergencies. So if you make $4,000 a month times 6 is $24,000. Once you get there, it'll help you avoid the debt trap. So you don't have to pull out the credit card or take out another loan in case you lose your job, okay? You have an emergency, whether health, your house, your car, you have to be able to pay for it as opposed to shove it on a credit card. Consolidating various loans under a single one might make sense because if you have a high interest rate credit card debt, 5 or 6 of them, you got $30,000, you're paying 12, 13, 14%, and you can go get a personal loan for 5 or 6 or 7%. That works out real well, okay? Because in likelihood, you're going to make a smaller monthly payment, but you know what? You've just cleared out the debt on the credit card. So it's important to understand that you have to solve the spending problem when you consolidate loans. Otherwise, you could just be creating a bigger debt and hole for yourself. Okay. Next, checking monthly expenses. Many people just spend. Hey, there's not a problem with spending, but you want to make sure you keep your splurges in check. We all have debit cards and credit cards. Many people put that credit card payment on there. You put it on a credit card, put it on a credit card. And then the next thing you know, at the end of the month, they're getting this bill they can't pay off all at once. Or they have a debit card, they just tap it or stick it in, put their code in, they're good to go, but they don't pay attention to it. So you want to check all your monthly expenses, make sure you understand what you're spending on and eliminate those things that you're not getting any benefit from, okay? Like those delivery services, the wine clubs that you don't even go pick up your wine, the memberships for the health club that you don't even go to. You know what? Balancing your monthly debt service. Good rule of thumb is this. Hey, don't let your monthly expenses exceed 40% of your net monthly income. If you have a home, 50%. Okay. It's critical to avoiding a debt trap. You know what? Also tracking the market value of your home. It's really important because you know what? If you have a loan that's $600,000 and the value of your house goes down to $500,000, okay, you could be upside down. Now you might just say, hey, I'm okay. I can make my payment. And you might be in a situation, if you don't read the fine print, where a mortgage company might come back and say, hey, look, the values drop below the market, so you're going to have to pay some extra money to get even. So it's important that you understand those things, okay, and track the equity of your home to make sure you're not caught off guard financially. Leverage cash flows to prepay high-cost debt. So list all your debt, what the interest rate is, what the payment date, what's the minimum payment. Make all those minimum payments, but the leftover money you have, shove it on the one that you want to pay off first. Once you get to the point where that's paid off, take the money you're paying on that one and add it to the minimum payment of the next one, but slowly eliminate that, okay? The key here is this. Put yourself in a position where you're earning an interest, not paying an interest. Next, one of the biggest things is avoiding impulse spending. We're in a world of instant gratification. We go here because we want this Starbucks, or we want this shirt, we want those pants, we want that new car or that new TV. It creates a debt trap because you can finance it or throw it on a credit card. You want to create a scenario where you start thinking twice. Do I really need this new TV for $1,000? Do I have life in the old one? Okay. And you know what? A good rule of thumb is when you say, hey, I really like to get this, wait a day. It's out of sight, out of mind. Hey, you're not going to spend it. If it's something that you actually need, you'll turn around and go get it. Hey, you know what? I want to thank you all for joining us today here on Saving with Steve, where, I'm going to give you my best advice to help you retire smarter. Where we're going to talk about the ins and outs of money. Next week, we have some wonderful guests. You know what? Steven Sless was wonderful. Again, if you want to go to the website at savingwithsteve.us and go to episode number 92, you can listen to this again and again, or any other episode. Look forward to seeing you next time, this place right here on Saving with Steve. Stay safe, stay healthy. Bye-bye.
Everyone has their own unique views and needs when it comes to financial success. If you'd like to leave your financial woes behind and live a life of financial freedom, you've come to the right place. Welcome to the Saving with Steve show, hosted by Steve Sexton. The show will help you with the ins and outs of money. We talk about financial issues that could be costing you thousands of dollars and keeping you up at night. We talk about money, tax reduction, saving more, spending less, 401ks, risk management, retirement, and everything under the sun that relates to you having a healthier, happy relationship with money. Now, here is your host of Saving with Steve, Steve Sexton, on UK Health Radio.
Hey, welcome to the Saving with Steve show, where we talk about the ins and outs of money, pretty much everything under the sun that relates to you having a happier, healthier relationship with money. My name is Steve Sexton. I want to welcome you today. You know what? Our viewers and listeners are growing. We have over 500,000 listeners throughout the United States, almost 100,000 more overseas. So we keep growing and keep growing. I want to thank my affiliates at AM/FM 247, BBS Radio, and UK Health Radio for sharing the word and making sure people can live a life of personal and financial freedom. Now, last week we had Erica Wasserman, your financial therapist, talk about the 5 quick tips that you can help to develop financial wellness. Wonderful episode. If you'd like to go see it, go to savingwithsteve.us. That's savingwithsteve.us and look for episode 90. By the way, you can go check a look at all the episodes, behind the scenes stuff, get guest gifts and more. So check out that savingwithsteve.us. And if you have a topic that you'd like us to talk about, like this next one coming up, hey, go to viewers at Saving with Steve. Let us know what your topic is, and you might be seeing that pretty soon. Now, I'll be talking about, how to retire during a recession, which we're dealing with right now. But today, let's just get to that topic. August is Adventure Month. One of the best ways to see the U.S. and obviously the rest of the world is through an RV. You're relaxed. It's easy going. You take your own pace. You don't have to worry about booking a hotel or an air flight. Using an RV as an alternative travel to a car, a plane, or a hotel can help you save money and create more of a relaxed travel experience. We have Tom Hamill. He's the RV director at Kuhn Auto and RV Group. So, Tom, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Steve, for having me. Appreciate being here.
Hey, I'm really glad you're here. You know what? One of the cool things here is we've got a number of people that were looking forward to this because we kind of predid it because we have a lot of listeners that like RVing, and I have a lot of relatives that love RVing. So, I'm looking forward to this a lot. So, you know what? In your experience, I'm just going to hit you with a question here. I know that Kuhn Auto and RV Group, you got 40 locations. There's 13 specifically just set for RV. So you guys have a lot of experiences. You deal with a lot of people. They have everybody probably talks about their travel experiences, the associations they're involved with, and the events that they have. But, in your experience as an RV director at Kuhn, can you share more about the rise in RV travel in the last few years?
Well, obviously, the rise in travel with the RV industry has exploded the last couple of years after COVID. We saw a lot of growth in the business. I think with the key to that was, people were wanting to still go out and enjoy their lives. A lot of the country was shut down, obviously, a lot of businesses and things, but RV parks were open. And the reason why is because it's outdoors, it's safe, it's a great time to spend time with your families when people had some time off of work. The selection of RVs was good. We ran into a little bit of a bump last year because we sold so many that a lot of the manufacturers couldn't get product to us. So it was kind of an interesting thing. But families, we've seen a big connection on families spending time with each other more over the last couple of years than ever before, which has been really kind of an exciting thing for us.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, there's a bunch of different options for RV trailers. I know there's a fifth wheel, there's 32-foot motorhomes, there's 42-foot motorhomes, and I have relatives that have 45-footer. Could you talk about the different options? And let's get into some, does it make sense to rent or purchase? What's the ups and downs with all that? Because that's a lot of people are wondering.
Yeah, great questions. So it's interesting. You brought up rental. Rental in the last 2 years has blown up quite a bit. We carry a pretty good fleet of rentals across the board, and people that didn't know if they want to take the initial jumping into spending the money on whether it be a smaller travel trailer all the way up to a Class A motorhome, did do some rental to try it out to see if it's something that their family was going to enjoy, if they're going to like the lifestyle of it. And with that, it helps sales as well. But yeah, we carry anywhere from a 14-foot trailer all the way up to 45-foot motorhomes. And it's kind of interesting to see that every segment over the last several years has actually grown significantly. As people, when you talk about air travel, things like that, a lot of delayed flights, a lot of canceled flights, things like that. People know that when they buy an RV, they're going to be able to actually go to where they want to go to and be with their families. So it's been an interesting thing. We see across the board, everything's been really good for us.
It's not like that if you're flying in a plane, because you got to get off the plane, get your luggage, get the rental car, and then you're exhausted. Now,
and then you might find a hotel that isn't that clean. I've had that happen to me this past year, and it's been an interesting thing with a lot of. It's a house on wheels. You're going down the highway. You are going to have some things go wrong with it once in a while. That is a fact. We offer, throughout the state of Wisconsin, we've got mobile service technicians that will come out to campgrounds and fix units at campgrounds for customers. It's something we're always trying to expand. Sometimes, in the future or in the past, we didn't have as many of that going on, as many technicians that were able to do that. It's something as we grow our business, we're really focusing on trying to give that extra service outside of the sale, is to be able to help people when they're on the road. If they're at a campground, they have an issue come up with their camper, we want to be able to try and give them the best service we can to get them taken care of. But there is a lot of that. We do offer the extended service contracts and things like that. And across the nation, if you're traveling across the nation, there are different manufacturers or different companies that offer roadside assistance across the country. With our service contracts, you get that as part of the deal. We will actually help find that company for you to come to you, which is, we try to offer you as much possible. Yeah, it's a key thing to us. Is the RV business perfect on it? No, we know as an industry, we need to get better at service across the board. I mean, I think if you ask anybody who runs an RV dealership, it's something we're always trying to constantly improve upon. Our dealerships alone, we're trying to expand our service facilities in every one of our dealerships that we own. And when we look at buying new dealerships, something we look for is the service. What is the service like right now? And how can we improve it to give our customers a better experience across the board? Constantly trying to improve that portion of our business.
You know what, Tom? That's really, really good to know. It's good for everybody to know. But hey, you know what? We're going to have to take a break, pay some bills. So everybody stick with us. We'll be right back with Tom Hamill and more Saving with Steve.
More expert advice for having a happier relationship with money still to come on the Saving with Steve show on UK Health Radio. Welcome back to the show that is here to help you achieve your financial goals. It's the Saving with Steve show. Now here's your host, Steve Sexton on UK Health Radio.
Hey, I want to welcome everybody back to the Saving with Steve show, where we talk about the ins and outs of money, pretty much everything under the sun that relates to you having a happier, healthier relationship with money. Hey, if you'd like to follow us on Facebook, you can always go to the Saving with Steve Sexton Facebook group, get part of the Insiders Club. Like I said, you can get gifts, review shows, get the behind the scenes stuff, which a lot of people love. And with that, let's jump right back into Adventure Month here. We have Tom Hamill. He's the RV director at Kuhn Auto and RV Group. He's given us some great information about the RV industry. We've been talking about the ins and outs, everything from getting your rig fixed if you're having a problem on the road, whether renting or owning is the right thing. But now let's talk about renting, costs associated with that, how it breaks down compared to airfare and things like that, especially if you're staying at home staying with a family and so on. So, you know what, when it comes to renting, Tom, how does it compare with travel? So if you got a family of four, what size motorhome would you recommend for somebody with a family of four?
Yeah, a small Class C motorhome would handle a family of four without a problem, because you've got the bunk over the cabin or over the cab, you've got the bed in the back. So a small Class C, anywhere from 24 feet to, we rent out up to 31-foot Class C motorhomes. You're going to be able to get, the cost of that's going to be under $1,500 a week, where you take a family to a hotel with four people, you're going to get a couple rooms with the airfare, everything else you're spending money on, you're going to spend thousands of dollars above and beyond. But with that, then you're able to supply your own food, eat your own food versus dining out every night. The RVs are maintained by professional technicians. We clean them and everything, but the cost is really, it's significantly less when you really look at, the flights nowadays with the price of gas going up. And obviously, gas is expensive to fill an RV. They don't get the greatest miles per gallon, but they are actually more efficient than an airplane. But we do have that. I think what a lot of people see is that the value with being able to prepare your own food, travel when you're wanting to travel, at the times that you want to go versus, working around everything else, it seems to be a little bit more cost effective. I hope that answers your question a little bit.
Oh, it does. I was just going to share, you're on a budget, an RV is not a bad way to go.
No, some, depending on what you're doing, might be a little bit more expensive, but it's a matter of the initial cost isn't anywhere near as much as just your flights alone and staying in a hotel, like you said. The big savings also, again, is not having to eat out every night, and you get to prepare your own things. And most RV parks, the rental for a night there is cheaper than a hotel. So it works out to be a significant savings over flying in hotels and everything else like that, for sure. Not even a question. And then the big thing too, a lot of people, you don't have to cancel a flight. You don't have to worry about, spending 10 hours in an airport because you're late there a day extra in an airport, so.
That was right on to my next question. What's the new thing with RVing right now?
Solar, lithium batteries, the AGM batteries that give you a longer life, but solar is huge right now. And you're seeing a lot of manufacturers do more solar. We're getting Wi-Fi boosters are a big thing. Obviously, the consumer is a younger buyer now. The average age of the initial camper is coming down. So what's important to the younger group is, they have to have their mobile devices so they can connect. Kids still want to connect. It's funny, once they get out camping, they connect to it less than ever because they're out actually enjoying nature and outdoor stuff, where they probably didn't plan on enjoying the outdoors as much. But Wi-Fi has been a huge thing. All the new chairs that are coming out, all the new mats, the different fireplace stuff that they've come out with, some of these solo stoves, different things like that. But Wi-Fi, solar's a huge deal. The lithium batteries still expand. And what that does is it helps people expand their camping capabilities off grid a little bit. So if you're at you go to a lot of throughout the nation, all of our national parks aren't all electrified. So there's only so many sites at each campground, state parks, national parks. I'm on the board of directors for the WRVDA, Wisconsin RV Dealers Association, and we're trying to get Wisconsin to add more electrified sites to our state parks. But look at that throughout, the grid is only so big at most of the national parks. So that's where solar comes in really big. The lithium batteries will hold a charge longer, things like that. It's so people can extend their trips, and it kind of gives them more options to go camp.
That's wonderful. Hey, Tom, how can people get a hold of you? Start asking some questions. How can they go about doing that, Tom?
Yeah, so I'll give you my email address is tom.hamel@kunes.com. It's KUNES.com. And my cell phone number, I'll give you my cell phone number, 608-345-5259. Those are the best numbers to get a hold of us at. If people reach out to me, I'm going to get them in contact with my people that, the best place to put them at. We welcome it. Every one of our customers they have my cell phone number, so they can always get a hold of me. We try to be very transparent on things and help people out as best we can. But again, it's tom.hamel. It's HAMIL @kunes.com. And then again, my cell number 608-345-5259.
You got it. Hey, Tom, I want to thank you for joining us. This is Tom Hamel. He's the RV director at Kuhn Auto and RV Group. I want to thank you for sharing the experience here for Adventure Month here in August. And you know what? Be safe, be healthy, and have a wonderful day. We'll hopefully have you on sometime in the future.
I appreciate it, Steve. Thanks so much, and have a great day. Appreciate your time.
You too. Everybody stick with us. We'll be right back.
More expert advice for having a happier relationship with money still to come on the Saving with Steve show on UK Health Radio.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good. UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
Welcome back to the show that is here to help you achieve your financial goals. It's the Saving with Steve show. Now here's your host, Steve Sexton on UK Health Radio.
Hey, I want to welcome everybody back to the Saving with Steve show, where we talk about the ins and outs of money, pretty much everything under the sun that relates to you having a happier, healthier relationship with money. That was Tom Hamel. He, again, is the RV director at Kuhn Auto and RV Group. Now, they're out there in the Midwest. They have a whole bunch of 13 different RV groups. But you know what? RVing is one of those ways where you can reduce and eliminate some expenses when it comes to travel and adventure. If you're looking to share some wonderful experiences with your family, friends, so on. I've been to some of those RV rallies with my in-laws. I know they had one. If you're a golfer, out at one of the major golf tournaments, they've been to places all over the United States. It's turned into Old Home Week every time they go to those RVing rallies. So check it out. See what you're thinking there. Now, with that, I want to talk a little bit about our next segment. You know what? We're in a recession, whether the politicians want to say it or not. Okay. We're starting to see inflation just, subside a little bit, but that might be the rise before the storm, depending on what's done. Now, that said, I think it's really, really very important to understand how, to deal with retiring in this recession. So with that, let's just talk a little bit about how to go about doing that. If you're planning to retire during a financial downturn, quite really, it could be worrisome, especially if you give up your job. It's true for those with the portfolios that have just dropped. Some people are still 20 or 30% down on their portfolio, and they're facing retirement with fewer funds and an uncertain future. If you're ready, if you're still ready to stop working or need to reduce your activity because of health conditions, retirement might be the best route moving forward. Looking at your finances, setting up a plan could help you get through a bear market, create a sustainable future. You might even find ways to increase your income by making a few adjustments, okay? During a recession, it can be helpful, number one, to look at your financial projections, okay? You can use technology to keep track of your available financial resources and make a retirement budget. So there's software available that can tell you how much your assets need to average to provide you a desired income, and then factor in things like inflation, Social Security, sequence of returns. If this is your best interest to work on an extra, if it's in your best interest to work an extra year or two, wait for the economy to get better, you'll want to know what important information information you have. Now, there's a wonderful group, whether you're 35 or 65, it's called PlansWell, PlansWell.com. That's planswell.com. Okay. You can basically answer about 40 questions. Once you answer those 40 questions, they can create that plan for you, show you where you need to improve, what needs to happen so you can make an adjustment. Again, you know what? You can go to the savingwithsteve.us website, look for resources, see PlansWell. There's a link and there's also QR code there. All you got to do is put your cell phone to it and you're good to go and you're off to the races. So think about that. Make sure you look to get some financial protections. Next, you want to evaluate your portfolio. If you've been saving for retirement for several decades and have various investment accounts, look at how your funds are allocated. Got to remember, you're moving into a new season of life or a new stage in life. You're no longer on the wealth accumulation phase of life. You moved into the distribution and preservation phase. You know what? There's many portfolios that need to reflect by minimizing risk. You can always talk to a financial advisor about how to go through this in the coming years, to get what you expect from your investments moving forward. Next, consider work options. For individuals who are healthy enough to continue working, stay employed for another year or two. Hey, it may be an option. Every year you work can help you build up more retirement savings and a potential increase of your eventual Social Security benefit. Older employees have extra advantages to catch up contributions on 401ks. You know what? 401ks, you can actually contribute $20,500 plus another $7,000 if you're over the age of 50 into your 401k or your IRA or your SEP IRA. Look at doing that because the more money you have, hey, the better off it is for your retirement. Understand your health expenses. If you're age 65 or older, you're eligible for Medicare. However, there still will be health-related costs during your retirement. Medical costs are significant expenses for many, and they always seem to go up in retirement, whether it be prescription cost. You'll want to think through how much you spend on healthcare before signing up on Medicare. This is key. Because certain healthcare plans, say, for example, y'all know I'm a cancer survivor. On certain healthcare plans, the chemotherapy treatments was just a $15 or $20 copay. Hey, that's pretty good. On other plans, you're paying 20% of the bill. Now, my chemo and infusion drugs during that period of time cost the health insurance company $25,000 a week. Imagine if you had to pay $5,000 a week for 6 months just to cover your own chemo. So make sure you look at these things because the last thing you want is your money to fall through the cracks because you don't have the right plan because you just selected something that was $2 or $3 a month cheaper than the other plan. Review your Social Security benefits is the next one. Hey, if you have worked and paid into Social Security programs, you're going to be eligible for retirement benefits. You'll get a personalized estimate from your Social Security. Go to My Social Security, go to SSA.gov and sign up. If you're at least the age of 62, you can start getting your Social Security. Now, you're going to collect a reduced benefit, but when you get to your full retirement age, which is either 66 or 67, you'll get your full retirement benefit. In fact, if you wait, every year you wait past the age of 66 or 67, you'll receive what's called delayed retirement credits, which will increase your Social Security benefit by 8% a year. And what you want to do is you want to look at creating that plan to see when the best time for you to take Social Security so you can maximize your income, number one, maximize your assets so they last the longest for you in retirement. I hope you like these tips for retiring during a recession. If you stick with them, explicitly go and get that plan done or look at where you stand. Go to planswell.com. That's PlansWell.com. If you go to the savingwithsteve.us website, you'll see the Planswell logo under resources. You'll see the link and the QR code. Either one you select, you'll be able to create your plan after you just put in 40 pieces of information. I want to thank you all for joining us here today. Again, I want to ask you to check out a few of our affiliates at UK Health Radio, BBS Radio, AM FM 247. All these networkers are dedicated to empowering you to solve problems, uplift your spirit, and live a life of personal and financial freedom. Now, that said, next week, we have Steve Sless. You know what? In these trying times, many people are, they're over the 65, they've retired, and quite frankly, they're looking at how they can make it with this inflation stuff going on right here. And Steve is a specialist in helping people access the equity in their home so they can cover emergency expenses, prolong their retirement, and have an even more fruitful retirement. So I'll tell you what, we're going to look forward to seeing you next week right here on Saving with Steve. Be safe, be healthy. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on the Saving with Steve show, hosted by Steve Sexton on UK Health Radio. To learn more about the show and how to become a guest or sponsor, visit savingwithsteve.us. That's savingwithsteve.us. Join us again next time as we continue to talk about everything under the sun that relates to you having a healthier, happier relationship with money. This has been the Saving with Steve show, hosted by Steve Sexton on UK Health Radio.